Let's continue the discussion on DevOps. Here we'll be talking about DevOps versus Agile, tools used for DevOps, and SecDevOps. So Agile and DevOps are similar, but they do differ in certain important aspects. Agile is a change in thinking, and DevOps builds an organizational cultural change. Agile was a response to waterfall methodologies, and DevOps was not a response to Agile. The two theories aren't the same. So in Agile, we design, build, we prioritize, design, build, test, and continue the same cycle. In DevOps, we have deployment and testing. Continuous integration is extended to continuous delivery. So as we discussed in the previous slide set, DevOps comes in to help us with bridging the gap between the teams. Agile is an iterative approach. It focuses on collaboration, customer feedback, but DevOps is a practice of bringing development and operation teams together. Agile manages complex projects. DevOps manages end-to-end engineering processes. Agile is focusing on constant changes, while DevOps does constant testing and delivery. And DevOps looks closely into collaboration. DevOps also divides the skills, spreads the skill set between the development and operations teams, unlike Agile. In Agile, the development is managed in sprints. DevOps strives for deadlines with major releases. But the ideal case is to deliver daily or every few hours, continuous delivery. In DevOps, it's a must to document, because it will send the software to the operations team for deployment. Automation minimizes the impact of insufficient documentation. So when it comes to Agile versus DevOps, the automation, Agile does not emphasize on automation. And it also supports rapid change. It produces better applications with desired requirements. And Agile teams rely on automated build, test automation, continuous integration. DevOps teams often use all these tools and more. So the drawbacks of Agile planning are missed deadlines, complete but incompatible software components, team composition, new features, breaking old functions. DevOps is a theory rooted in communication, like we discussed in the previous lecture. Agile relies on cross-functional teams that typically include designers, testers, and developers. So when it comes to the transformation, you improve education, communications, evaluate the new process, reevaluate and build the service, evaluate the tech to support DevOps, then try it in a small part of the organization. We call this incremental adoption. Kim's three ways principle. The first way is systems thinking. We emphasize on performance of the entire system. Second way is amplify feedback loops. So we emphasize on increasing feedback. Third way is culture of continual experimentation and learning. We need to adopt for e-commerce and other websites, website projects, cloud platforms, etc. But we should not adopt this in mission critical applications. So DevOps is used, it's applied in several applications. It provides continuous feedback. DevOps teams come up with common tools. They've come up with common tools that let them collaborate across development, testing, and deployment. So they have continuous development tools, integration, testing, deployment tools, etc. The tool chain, there's no single DevOps tool. There's a set, a tool chain. There's for coding, building, test, package, release, configure, monitor. So we have Git, the version control system, then Jenkins, Selenium for testing, Puppet, configuration management, Argos, Docker. So the stages of development, you plan, code, build, test, deploy, operate, and monitor. So how do you use the tool for DevOps? The developer will build the code and the source code is managed by the version control tool. The code is sent to the Git repository and the changes will be committed to the repository. Jenkins will pull the code from the repository and build it using a tool like Ant or Maven. Configuration management tool will provision testing environment. Then Jenkins will release the code on the test environment. Testing will be done using something like Selenium. Once you have done the testing, Jenkins will send it to deployment to the server. Once the deployment is done, it is monitored continuously by a tool like Nagios. Finally, Docker will provide containers, testing environments to test the features. So this is how we use the different tools in different stages of the steps. When you want to plan, you can use project management softwares like Confluence, Jira, and then you build, and then you test. You can use Selenium. When you deploy, you automate deploys to your lowest level environment, where you'll be using automation mostly. You can use Puppet, Chef in this case. Then you monitor the performance. Then communication. This is something which is quite important in DevOps. Now let's look at these three. So do we actually need security? Does DevOps make a difference to security? The ability to deploy changes quickly could be dangerous. In case if it contains a bug or a security hole, it's not going to give us an easy time. For security to work, it must be an integral part of the development process. So why is security in DevOps? The scale in which we develop applications and the speed in which we develop applications has increased. Therefore, security is sometimes overlooked. But we need to bring in security into development, into DevOps rather. So we tightly integrate security tools and processes throughout the DevOps pipeline. So SecDevOps, this is the process of integrating secure development best practices and methodologies into DevOps. So it offers continuous security, efficiency, quality, compliance, and collaboration. Also, it reduces cost, and everyone is responsible for security. That's important. So there are some misconceptions written here. This is the end of the DevOps lecture.